Snow. It's this weird white, fluffy stuff that's also clumpy. Nobody really knows where it comes from. Does it come from the clouds, the North Pole? No one knows, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that snow has magical properties. It can turn a standard, boring game level into a festive winter wonderland in a matter of... I'm Zian from Nintendo Life, and today we're here to share with you 10 of our favorite winter-themed levels found in Nintendo games. Now be warned, this list will contain a few mid-game spoilers for some of these games, but fret not, this list shall remain completely unranked to prevent as many snowball fights as we can in the comments. Don't shoot the messenger!
Holidays are a major part of what makes up the Animal Crossing series DNA, and it's no stranger to the change of seasons either. The winter months bring along a batch of new activities. You'll start finding snowballs scattered around your town that you can roll up into snow people, maybe a few passerbys will swing by and set up shack in an igloo, and we can't forget our favorite reindeer, Jingle. His role has changed a bit over the years, but he always appears on December 24th to help bring a little extra joy to your town. Growing up, I would often change the clock on my GameCube to Christmas Eve just so I could hang out with Jingle and try and collect more of his special holiday-themed furniture. It was my absolute favorite. And with the impending release of Animal Crossing on Switch, what better time than now to jump back into something like New Leaf? Give it one last hurrah, because after March, we may not have much reason to return to the 3DS iteration. What kind of list would this be without Freeze Easy Peak? The original Banjo-Kazooie's winter-themed wonder will send you on a variety of jiggy hunting missions. One minute you'll be protecting sentient Christmas lights from hungry underground dinosaurs, and the next you'll be delivering presents to a family of polar bears, thanks to their no-good dad who'd rather spend time practicing for his big race instead of spending time in his igloo with his family. You know, traditional Christmas stuff. There's a giant snowman with a corncob pipe and all. You can transform into an adorable tiny walrus, and we can't forget about the infamous Ice Key either. Plus, Freeze Easy Peak is home to quite possibly the best holiday jingle ever written by the legend himself, Grant Kirkhope. Something about it just makes me want to stop whatever I'm doing, wrap some Christmas presents, give eggnog another chance, and dance around my apartment as if it were Christmas Eve, and Santa has just landed on my roof. Undertale may be one of the most messed up games on our list that still, somehow, managed to pull off an E rating, but that doesn't stop it from having an extremely strange yet cozy winter area. Snowdin encompasses a fairly large portion of the early game and is composed of two parts, a more mountainous region full of enemies and traps, and a village inhabited by more friendly monsters and the many shops and businesses they run in town. The shops are pretty standard for an RPG, but the standout one of the bunch is definitely the bar restaurant Grillby's, which is where many of the enemies from the earlier part of Snowdin hang out after you battle. Snowdin is also home to your first encounter with the skeleton bro duo, Sans and Papyrus. After making your way through their countless puzzles and traps in the mountain, and a fight at the end of town, you'll be invited into their home, which is full of secrets and ridiculous conversations. After you've played it once, Undertale will always give you a reason to come back. Its environments and characters are full of charm and depth, and Snowdin is just another shining example of that. Super Mario Odyssey was an out-of-the-park smash hit for Nintendo Switch, and is still one of the best games you'll find on the system.
It may not have a Super Mario Sunshine-themed level yet, but it does have the opposite with the Snow Kingdom.
An icy world with a total of 55 power moons to collect. You can go Lakitu fishing and can even go polar bear plunging if you'd like. Just make sure not to catch a cold. Snow Kingdom's overworld may not be as large as some of the other levels in Mario Odyssey, but it houses an entire village of Shivarians underneath its icy lair. On the surface, you wouldn't think so, but the Shivarians remind me a lot of the Goron people found in Majora's Mask. They're big, friendly creatures who love one thing: racing. And the way that they toss themselves along the racetrack, bouncing themselves off walls and pads, and how they even have an entire racetrack below ground but also outside is a complete mystery to me. it's still a fun diversion nonetheless. Icy levels can be downright cruel, and thanks to a combination of slick floors and blasting barrels, the levels found in Donkey Kong Country's world, Gorilla Glaciers, are exactly that. The levels are vastly different. One may have you sliding up and down frozen ropes to traverse a seemingly never-ending ice cave, and the next you'll be swimming through shark-infested waters. Gorilla Glaciers is also home to the first appearance of the animal friend Squawks the Parrot, who appears exclusively in the level Torchlight Trouble to help guide you through the dark caves with his lamp. Squawks eventually goes on to become a staple character in the series, appearing in many more levels in Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. It is a bit of a bummer that the world boss is recycled from an earlier boss battle in the game, but the rest of the world definitely makes up for it. Donkey Kong Country is an absolute classic, one to be played alone or with a friend or family, and it's a real shame it's currently not available through the Nintendo Switch online service. So if I can have one wish this Christmas, please Nintendo, bring us the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, please. I know the first one's on the SNES Classic, but that's not even on shelves anymore. Put this on Switch.
It could just be nostalgia kicking in, but one of the first games I think of when it comes to winter is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Now, that could be partially due to the fact that even in sunny, warm areas, Majora's Mask is just a fairly cold game. Its story just really isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Snowhead encompasses the northern portion of the map and is governed by the Gorons, a race of rock-eating people who love a race almost as much as the Chivarians, but I think they enjoy it a little more. When you first come to Snowhead, you'll realize it's a fairly cold and desolate place, but it wasn't always like that. The Goron village has been under attack by heavy winds and snowfall for quite some time, but their hero Darmani was lost while investigating the cause up at Snowhead Temple. Through some unconventional means, which are basically okay because it's a fantasy world and magic and all that stuff, you'll uncover the lens of truth, learn to channel Darmani's spirit, and utilize the true power of the Gorons to take on the beast inside Snowhead Temple. And when you're all finished up, don't forget to upgrade your sword with the blacksmith duo Gabora and Zabora. You'll just need to bring them a bit of gold dust and be sure to give them enough time to get the work done before the moon crushes everyone into oblivion. Winters, the snow-covered area of Earthbound. This is where you'll have your first encounter with Jeff, or rather you play as Jeff and escape his boarding school and set out on a quest to save Ness and Paula. On his miniaturized journey, he'll encounter Tessie, the sea monster, a bubble-blowing monkey, Stonehenge, a secret laboratory, and so much more. Eventually, you do find your way back to Winters with the whole crew, but we don't really want to spoil everything, because we understand that a lot of people still just haven't played Earthbound. They've played as Ness in Smash Bros, and they understand everyone wants Mother 3, but not everyone has played this gem of a game. So in case Nintendo decides to release this on the online service at some point, we're going to keep our lips sealed. We hope you're listening, Nintendo. It shocked me at first, but the fact that Wario owns his own ski resort should come as no surprise. The mainline Wario games usually involve Wario collecting as much money as possible, and he does own his own company, WarioWare Inc., so I guess he could have had enough money to blow it all on this massive mountain? Sure, why not? Regardless of how, we're glad he did, as it's one of the most impressive tracks in the history of Mario games. Mount Wario is a unique track in the fact that there are no laps. It's a somewhat straight shot down a giant mountain. It's a winter wonderland full of icy roads, twists and turns, a cave full of rushing water, which I just learned is actually called Wario Dam, and a full-fledged ski hill that definitely looks like it was designed with kart racing in mind, not skiing. Each area of the course only sticks around briefly just before spitting you out into another unique area, which never really gets boring. No other track in Mario Kart is as massive as this. The mountain in Celeste isn't just another level, or even just the world. It's the main backdrop of the game, and could almost be categorized as a character itself. Madeline, the main character, sets off on somewhat of a personal journey up the mountain, which really isn't explained to the player in the beginning, but her reasons start to unravel themselves the further she climbs. As you, the player, progress through the game, you'll realize its challenge could too be compared to that of a mountain. Its platforming will see to it that you have a very hard time. You're gonna die a lot, but you'll feel a real sense of accomplishment when you make it through a level or an area. And when you decide to go for that strawberry floating over there in the corner, and actually make it back to solid ground with the strawberry and your body intact, you'll feel wonderful. The mix of challenging platforming, the unforgettable soundtrack, the deep story, and the wonderfully colorful snowy setting make this a game anyone can and should play during the holidays. You thought we were going to forget about Cool Cool Mountain, didn't you? Thought maybe it got replaced with the Snow Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey?
No one forgets about Cool Cool Mountain.
I myself may always think of Majora's Mask's snowy terrain when it comes to winter levels, but for many, Cool Cool Mountain is the definition of a winter wonderland, and for a few others, it could also just be a complete nightmare. The main attraction within this level is hands down the massive slide held within the center. You just pop in through the chimney of the hut in front of you when you start the level, and bam, now you're racing a giant penguin. But just don't cheat, he doesn't like that. Banjo-Kazooie's Freeze Easy Peak may take home the gold with its holiday cheer, but its nostalgia can't be beat. Cool Cool Mountain is a real treat.
And there you have it, 10 of our favorite winter levels found in Nintendo games. Feel free to let us know in the comments down below how your list would have looked different. I would have liked to talk more about games like I Am Setsuna and Silent Hill Shattered Memories that are completely covered in snow, but maybe we'll save that for another time. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, then why don't you take an imaginary snowball and toss it at that subscribe button. And while you're there, go ahead and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we release new videos. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Zian from Nintendo Life, and we'll see you next time. Oh. Like, it's not that cold out, but it's really cold. That's true. That's true. Okay. All right, I got this. I want you to chuck them at me. Yeah.